Hello and welcome to Library Loves Tag. I was tagged by Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe way back in 2019 in October, I think. So I'm sorry it took me so long to do this. The Library Loves Tag is basically a tag designed to appreciate our natural reading resource known as the library, and I use it a lot because most of the times I'm trying to keep a little bit of restraint about buying books, and then when hype comes up around books I want to read them but I can't buy them, so I go to the library. Question 1. When did you first go to the library or get a library card? That was way back when I was 8, I think, 8 years old. It was in the city that I grew up in. It felt like I was a grown-up now after getting a library card. I was like, oh, I have the power. I can get whatever book I want and no one can stop me. How often do you use your library? I kind of just answered that question pretty much all the time. Whenever hype comes up around a book or there's a book I really want to read but don't own, I go to the library. I go to the library as often as humanly possible. I mean, there are a lot of books on my shelf that I could read, but you know how it is. Like, the endless TBR remains an endless TBR because there's so many other books I want to read. Have you ever had a late or lost library book? Yes. That doesn't happen so often nowadays, but when I was really young, when I had first gotten my library card, I mean, most of the times my parents would keep bugging me to return them, but sometimes I would lose it. I don't know, I would read a book and then go off and play somewhere, and I remember there was this one time I just lost a library book for good, and my parents had to pay for it. What's your favorite thing about the library, or specifically my library, my local library? And that is they change books all the time. I mean, well, duh, books are taken out, books are put in, but I love that I can go to the same shelf a week later and there are just so many little trinkets that weren't there before, and treasures, and I also like how helpful the staff is. They're all really cool. They help you with anything, and my library is the kind of library that's quiet and peaceful, but people still talk, so it's not like there's this restricting air about it. 5. Are you a browser or do you plan what you're going to take out? I am a little bit of both, but I absolutely plan. It's like on each trip to the library, I plan when I'm gonna take the next trip. Name a book you took a chance on from the library. Took a chance on, that would be the Bones series. This graphic novel series is very critically acclaimed, very beloved, but when I first looked at it, I didn't think I would like it, but I picked it up just because I could, not because I thought I would like it, and I did end up enjoying it, so I took a chance on it. What is the best book you read from the library? And that's really hard to answer because I've been using the library for a long time. But actually, most of my favorite reads from 2019 were library books. And I did actually have a little library haul, mini library haul. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I haven't read it yet, a hyped up book. And I got Scarlet, the second book in the Lunar Chronicles, because one of my favorite books of 2019 was Cinder, that I had finally read. And also The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, another hyped up read by an author I already like that I hadn't got around to, and I personally ordered these books because the library didn't have them and I got them yesterday, so, and I'm kind of started reading this already, but yeah, I think some of the best books I've ever got from the library were On the Come Up by Angie Thomas, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, and Cinder by Marissa Meyer. All of them I read in 2019. I've also gotten some really good graphic novels from the library. Have you ever taken out the same book multiple times? Yes. When I was reading Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, I was kind of in a reading slump at the time, even though I was enjoying that book, so I kind of got halfway, and then I had to return it to the library and then renew it, and then, you know, the kind of thing where you just renew it because it's getting due. 9. Have you ever read a good book set in a library? No. Not a book that's throughout set in a library. A book that has scenes in a library, I guess, would be The Extraordinary Education of Nicholas Benedict by Trenton Lee Stewart. But that's kind of like an orphanage library, not a library. Have you ever used your library's ebook and audiobook options? No, actually never. I have listened to audiobooks and I have read ebooks, tons of ebooks actually, but never through the library. Which is the best library you've been to? I guess the best ones are the ones in big cities, because I've lived in this small town and I've lived in bigger cities. So my favorite would be one in Saskatchewan, a very, very big library with multiple floors. They had a huge manga section, like a huge one, and they had this huge YA section, this huge comic book section, everything. They had everything. It was great. Question 12, the final question. What would make you use your local library more? And I really like my local library. It's a bit small, but I do like it. It's really comfortable. I guess I would use it a lot more if they kind of improve their graphic novel and manga section. They have a small graphic novel section where I get lots of great books, but most of the times they don't change their manga section a lot, or they have like book 2, book 7, book 8. And now the part where I tag people, because that's what you're supposed to do. Usually when I tag people, it hasn't happened very often, but when I do, it ends in disaster. I don't know if you remember my Halloween song book tag video, but I had trouble uploading it. I lost the files and recovered them, and it came up on November 1st. So then by that time, the people I tagged wouldn't have any time to do it because it's a Halloween themed one. So like that was really dumb. I still feel bad for that. But yeah, and I also sometimes just feel nervous about tagging people because I don't want to bug them. But I myself loved it. I love it when people tag me, so I should probably get rid of that mindset. I tagged Dom P is here, Michael, and MyLiteraryMusings. Go check out their channels. Use your local library more. It's a fantastic resource, and I will see you next week. Bye.